All right, next thing I would like to do is discuss kind of how we felt about that book. I want to more critical aspect of this. What are some of the things that you really liked? Let's go around just one thing you really liked and one thing that you thought probably could have been better about this book. And then after that, we'll kind of get into discussion about some of the things that we liked in detail. So just go around. I'll start with you, Perry. Perry, what is something that you absolutely enjoyed about this book and something that you wish that Ray Bradbury would probably change that would give it more significance?
Well, I think one of the main things that really caught my attention about Something Wicked This Way Comes is the narrative style of the book. And I have never really read a novel that is written in this very specific style. I'm not sure how quite to describe it, which is not doing my English degree a service. It's doing my English degree a disservice.
The imagery that he evokes in his writing kind of transcends it to the next level in describing what these boys are seeing, but not understanding at that level.
Yes, but I would also argue that in the actual physical style with which he writes, not even the imagery, it feels like it's an old fable, or like there's sort of an antiquated feeling about it
I could see
that I really enjoy, because at the same time it's still a modern, surreal, modern, relatively modern fairy tale. And I think its shortcoming is in the fact that it is a YA novel. It feels like a modern horror, morality, fairy tale, mishmash, beautiful thing that is hampered down to the constraints of a good, bad, simplistic, not to get into spoilers, but the way in which the novel ultimately ends felt very overly simplistic to the world that Bradbury was setting up.
Cassie, how about you? What are some of the things you loved, some of the things you wish would change?
I think overall, looking at the book kind of from a greater perspective, I think that even though it was very mysterious and these things probably don't happen in real life, you can't go backwards or forwards in time, obviously, but I think that it represented a greater meaning, and I think that each of the characters within the carnival kind of represent maybe things in society, people in society who kind of sell their soul for these goals that they have, and it doesn't matter who they kind of bring down along the way. It's kind of more, this is my life and I do what I have to do to get it. And so I think that while it was very magical, it definitely could be related to real life experiences. But in terms of what I did not like, as far as what I did not like, I can't really specifically point anything out. I would definitely, being an English education major, I think I would definitely teach this novel to probably seniors, due to its, as Perry was saying, it's very sophisticated and grappling themes, and just some of the dark imagery, I think, including blood scenes, minor blood scenes, and just this very mysterious tone. But I would definitely recommend it to people who are trying to teach themes in a way that,
like, if you're trying to introduce more adult themes, have this as the kind of transition novel.
Yes, in between that world.
It's that bridge between the YA and adult novels.
Yes, in between the magic, unrealistic world, but also the practical world. And I think this is a great bridging novel between those two realms.
Okay. For me, I'd say the thing I really enjoy about this story is the character development. There's not many characters, but I really feel that each character has almost like a story arc to themselves. The characters all have some kind of meaning to them. There isn't an insignificant character. Even Miss Foley, who spends very little time in the book, kind of has a significant impact on the boys. Mr. Cougar, Mr. Dark, a lot of the protagonists and antagonists all have some kind of story arc to them, which allows you to almost see from their perspective a little bit, more so for the protagonist and the antagonist. But you learn a lot from these characters in just different situations. One thing I disliked, I have to agree with Perry, is it does kind of when you go into a horror novel, considering the fact that this story is the inspiration for Stephen King's It, you almost expect it to be a lot more adult in its aspect. But reading this book, I almost felt, especially when I got to the ending, it was similar to nowadays PG-13 horror movies, where it seems like they could touch on something a lot deeper, a lot more horrific that's out there in the world, social commentary. Instead, they kind of took the easier way out. That's oversimplifying situations and making outcomes that are not questioned later on. Like, this happened, but how and why, and why is it significant? Those are some of the things. I enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff beforehand. Just some of the things that I wish that Ray Bradbury would go back is maybe allow for some kind of better understanding of what happens in the story.